This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This show is a part of Pop Americana. For more great shows like this one, please check the link in the episode description. Cartoons, the animated frontier. These are the voyages of the Cellcast podcast. Its continuing mission: to explore strange new cartoons, to seek out new animation styles and new creative storytelling methods, to boldly go where so few ever go again. Welcome to another episode of The Cellcast,
the animated series.
Joining me today is a man who will get there, he swears, with the wind in his hair, Jacob.
Well, you got to brush it every day. Come on, man.
True, and that much hair is a lot to brush.
That is a lot to brush.
Well, not in your case, actually.
No, it's kind of curly and fluffy. Why, thank you. I'd like to introduce my co-host, a man who just can't stop arguing with Cassandra. Welcome, Drew.
Well, I mean, have you seen her? She's so prickly and whatever the word is I'm thinking of. Anyway, how are you doing, Jacob?
My question would be like, would you want to get mad at the king or Cassandra? Or have Cassandra mad at you? Be like, I'd rather have the king get mad at me. I'm doing very well. This has been a very, very good season.
Yes.
Very good season. And
Well, let me introduce what we're doing on this episode. So if you remember, way back before the season started, we did an introduction to the series as a whole.
Yes.
It kind of also, we went over, it was also our introduction for season 1. Well, today we're going to review season 1 and introduce season 2.
Mm-hmm.
So, starting with our review of season 1. Jacob, if you can, and I know this is without really much heads up, can you list your 5 favorite episodes?
Oh, that is interesting. Okay. Well, luckily I have them all listed. That's good. Ooh, that would be... well, one of them obviously going to be Fritz Herbert P.I. I love that episode. I love that episode to death. It's so good. There's a lot of good ones. Pascal Story episode.
Yeah, that's going to be an easy one for both of us.
Yeah, Pascal Story was absolutely incredible. We get the origin story, like we said, and go back and look.
See the tower again for the first time.
Yeah, go back and listen to that episode. That was an amazing episode.
And all the episodes we mentioned, we're not going to go into too great detail.
No,
because we just talked about them.
Yeah, we just
in
talked
much
about them.
Greater detail.
Yeah.
So we got Fitz Herbert P.I., Pascal Story,
Queen for a Day.
Okay.
Queen for a Day. I guess kind of going back to the tower, you'd be the Quest for Variant, and heck yeah, I would have to throw in the 2-part season finale.
Yeah. Secret of the Sun Drop.
Secret of the Sun Drop, just so incredibly well done. This series is so incredibly well done. Like I said in our intro, that this is it's a hidden gem that most people don't know about.
Yeah, in fact, most people I've told about our little experiment here, and I told them what the first show we were going to review was. They go, Tangled had a television series?
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I didn't know about it either until Jacob brought it up and showed me this clip that I think is from somewhere in season 2.
You're right.
That I was going, oh, okay. This is kind of a cool thing that this exists. I hope it's good.
Yeah.
And you watch that whole clip and you go, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
Because if it's going to have the guts to do this moment, then it's going to be good. Going over my top 5 quick.
Go for it.
I'm going to agree with you on Pascal's story.
Yeah.
I am also going to throw in Big Brothers of Corona.
Yeah, that was good.
Because
That's a very good episode.
I love those 2 kids.
Yeah. Red and Angry. I love those
Red
2
and Angry, yes. I also like The Wrath of Ruthless Ruth.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of a throwaway episode, admittedly.
Yeah.
And you can kind of tell it's written so that this show has an episode to throw in on the big Halloween marathon that will come up. Disney Channel will probably throw up every year.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell it's its entire reason for existence. But it reminds me so much of my favorite scene in Tangled, which is the "I've Got a Dream" song in the movie.
The Snugly Lucky scene. Yeah.
It's just because it's pretty much the same thing, but it's better.
Yeah.
In so many ways. And then, of course, Queen for a Day is done very well.
Yeah.
And I love The Secret of the Sun Drop.
Yeah.
Because, good night. You need to go listen to that episode. If for some reason this is the first episode you're listening to.
What are you doing?
Yeah. That 2-parter was so good. And it really feels like we're kicking off into a much bigger story.
Oh, yeah.
But one thing I want to bring up is while it does feel like we're going into a much bigger story,
Yeah.
it is also backwards looking and showing how this slightly more peaceful season, this kind of slice of life season we've gotten up to this point, actually works into everything. Yeah, it's not the big jam-packed adventure that season 2 and 3 looks like it's going to be, but there's enough that goes on with this one where even though it's just the daily lives of these people, and enough is brought up that I was actually surprised how good it was.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Because when you told me that season 1 is almost an entirely different show than season 2 was, I thought, well, that's kind of disappointing, but maybe they realized they needed to kick it up a notch to keep the show going. Honestly, I think the idea that season 1 was going to be a calmer show to get the kids watching before they decide now we're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
I think that was the point. From episode 1, from before ever after the seeds of the season finale are sown.
Yeah.
And the seeds are sown all throughout the season.
Yeah.
And when we finally see the first blossom of this fruit in Queen for a Day, and honestly, I think it is Queen for a Day where we first start seeing the sapling coming up out of the ground of the show, of the action of the show, where we start seeing fruit in a sense. When we get to that point, it's so good.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: up until this point, we've had a couple of little character introduction episodes. For the most part, it's all been stuffed kind of to. Like I said, it's a slice of life show. Each episode does not necessarily affect the other. You could have aired them in almost any order, except for a couple in which they refer back to episodes that happened before.
Right.
But for the most part, as long as it wasn't too crazy, you could almost watch it in any order. But the minute Queen for a Day happens, you are in the linear section of this story.
Yeah.
You cannot watch, because even the slice of life episodes that occur after that episode, they are pointing you towards the season finale.
Yeah,
which is pointing you towards the rest of the story in seasons 2 and 3, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, that's really how I feel about it. It's like so much time when you watch an animated show, the first season either does not seem to have anything to do with the reason people say the show is great.
Yeah.
Or it's dropped you in so much that you have no idea what's going on. No, that's not what's going on here. You know, if you've watched Tangled, you can jump into Before Ever After and season 1, episode 1, and know what's going on.
Okay.
And you can work with it. It's not like for instance, everyone loves Adventure Time. I don't understand why, because I can't get past season 1.
Yeah.
Because season 1 is just so strange and weird and out there, I can't get to where all this good stuff is.
Right.
This show, I don't have this problem, because Season 1 is so focused on introducing you to not just the characters from the movie and giving the characters from the movie a much bigger role in this story, but introducing you to new characters that were not created for that much, such as Cassandra, Xavier, Varian, Hookfoot. My brain just froze.
It happens.
Well, the two guards that are always on hand with them.
Oh, yeah.
Phil and Tim?
I'm drawing a blank.
Whatever those two guys' names is. The captain of the guard has a bigger role. Maximus has a bigger role.
Yeah.
Maximus has a girlfriend. A girlfriend horse. And it gets you to the point where you like all of these characters. And once all that... And it does really take up until Queen for a Day for all that groundwork to really be laid down.
Yeah.
To the point where you feel comfortable with this world. And then as I've heard it called, you upend the coffee table.
Yeah.
You've got it all laid out, and now we're gonna upend the coffee table. We're gonna give Rapunzel a decision that she's never going to be able to recover from.
Right.
It's going to be an impossible decision, and while the right answer, even the person she can't help will acknowledge later that she made the right decision in that moment. Because I really do think Varian understands why she made the decision the way she made it. It affects everything from that point onward.
It's got a cascading effect.
It has a cascading effect. And it's just so good. I've been rambling and gushing about it. Why don't you gush for a while?
Oh, gosh.
I'll lean back in my chair for a minute.
All right. So season 1, like you said, there's so many episodes where you get story, highlight characters like Pascal's story, Maximus' enemy, or Maximus, what was it?
It was Maximus's enemy.
Yeah, Maximus' enemy.
I think it was Max's enemy. But
yeah, Max's enemy. Every character gets a highlight story point where you're introduced to Red and Angry. You're introduced to Cassandra, that character who's a very pivotal character in the series.
And don't forget Lance.
Yeah, Lance.
I forgot to bring up Lance Strongbow earlier.
Lance Strongbow is Eugene's best friend when they were kids and when they were thieves. And you get to see kind of his... You don't you see him turn into more of a good guy. He never was really a bad guy. He was just a thief because...
What else are you going to do?
What else are you going to do? Not promoting thievery at all. Don't go stealing people. But like you said, the pivotal point of this series, and there's the understanding of what the Black Rocks are, and you get all these little tidbit morsels that come through up to Queen for a Day, part 1 and 2, that have so many little. It's okay, here's this. You get this little symbol. Remember that for later. All these little things that build up to what happens in Queen for a Day, and then everything cascades from there. And it's a beautifully executed season that leaves you hanging for more. Definitely at the very end of this mysterious character who shows up and can cut the rocks.
Yeah. And you're going, what the crap?
So
I mean, you can tell probably in the original airing that scene had to have happened after the end credits sequence.
Probably.
It very much felt like the after credits sequence in a Marvel movie.
Yeah. So yeah, I loved season 1. Season 1 was amazing in its execution, its writing, its dialogue, the fact that you got most of the original voice actors who returned for the series, which is almost unheard of for most of them. You get some of the the early 90s Aladdin and some of those that you get returning actors. But this is just, tour de force, an amazing series. Amazing season 1, and then we get into season 2, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. Yeah, amazing.
It was good. We haven't talked about rating any of this
No.
stuff yet. But if I were to rate it,
Yeah.
I would rate season 1 as a series long story, not as anything else.
Yeah.
I would rate this at about a 7.
About a 7?
Yeah. It's got a lot of good stuff, and it's well laid down.
Yeah.
It's just I in many ways I think I was wanting that I was wanting Queen for a Day a little bit earlier.
Okay.
Not really too much earlier.
Yeah.
But if it had been a little bit earlier, and I would have felt more of because for such a long time in this season so far, it felt like, are we going to get anywhere? Is this going to be another slice of life episode?
Yeah.
If there was a long gap between, really, I would say between Before Ever After and Queen for a Day, that it really felt like we were getting just a couple of drops of the story.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, it recontextualizes at that point where you kind of understand what's going on, but still, I'm kind of thinking I would have liked it maybe a little sooner, like maybe right after, maybe Queen for a Day could have happened right after Wrath of Ruthless Ruth.
Okay.
I'm not even asking for much. That's what 2 episodes?
Yeah, roughly.
Just so that because I mean, really, Way of the Willow could have gone in there, and Max's Enemy could have gone after that, and it would not have been too crazy.
Yeah.
At the same time, I appreciate that once Queen for a Day happens, everything shown is related to what's going to happen.
Right.
Everything is connected, because even if you did have Way of the Willow and
Max's
Enemy, even if you did have those two after that, it would feel like, oh, that's a weird decision. But it may have worked better. I don't know. That's the thing, is we really still do not know the order that the events happen in. We assume it's in the order it airs.
Yeah.
But we don't really know that.
Yeah.
But that's just my thoughts.
All right. So for mine, I would go a little higher for mine. It's going to be an 8.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that, like, there's so many little, like I said before, the fact that there's so many little things sprinkled throughout.
Yeah.
And you got some filler episodes, obviously, but those filler episodes have information in there that help with the world building, that help with all the general world building. Yeah. And it's so, I love the detail and how they take the slice of life story and just like start sprinkling these like the top of a cupcake. I mean, like, it's a very well done cupcake, but then it's got these like these nice little sprinkles on top. And you're trying to wonder what flavor are these sprinkles. And so by the end of the episode, by the end of the season, you know what a few of the sprinkles are, but then you have these mysterious like little things you still don't know about. And you're craving that second cupcake.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing about filler. There are 2 ways a show can have filler, because filler is not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's not.
There are 2 ways you can do filler. There's good filler and there's bad filler.
Yeah.
Bad filler is when the filler adds nothing to the story.
Right.
Adds nothing to the universe. It could be stricken from continuity and nothing would change. Yeah. Good filler tells you something about it. It introduces you to an aspect of a character that maybe another story within the main story can't really get into. It introduces something that if it helps a character grow, it's filler because it does not have anything to do with the primary story. Right. But it is letting you know something about this character. And I would say, with the exception, I wouldn't even go that far. Well, with the exception of Rapunzel's Enemy. Yeah. I will say this because Rapunzel's Enemy might still be my least favorite episode. Okay. Even though I do find things interesting. For the most part, with the exception of that episode, every episode shows you something about the characters that you're working with, all the characters you're working with, that lead into your understanding of that character. Now, really, Rapunzel's enemy gives you a little bit too, because you've got Rapunzel. That is the main character, because this is the first time she's ever dealt with someone who really didn't like her, besides perhaps Mother Gothel.
Yeah.
But Mother Gothel at least pretended to like her.
Yeah.
What is his name? The character. That ran the sweet shop.
Yeah.
Monty. Monty is the first character that just doesn't like her for no good reason.
Yeah, actively doesn't like her.
Doesn't like her, to the point booing her to her face, which I still consider to be much ruder than he needed to be.
And plus, she's the princess, pal.
It's not very smart of you.
No, it's
either.
not.
It's one thing to do it in a crowd, like at the beginning of the episode. It's another thing to see her on the street corner enjoying a nice cup of coffee while you're passing in your carriage. You roll the window down and go, boo. That's an entirely different thing. But the thing is, while his character pops up throughout the rest of the season, their antagonism never comes up again. Outside of one moment where they do a quick callback, and that's just a weird thing you could ignore. For the most part, with the exception of the little Easter egg at the beginning of Secret of the Sun Drop, where he's taking a nap in front of her statue with, it's not a gopher. Yeah, it's gopher.
Yeah, it's a gopher.
With the gopher napping on his stomach.
Yeah.
With the exception of that one Easter egg, that entire thing could have been left out and you would not feel strange, in my opinion. I'm not going to say that's, the worst thing they could have done, because admittedly, it may have just been an early episode I did. Maybe he was going to be a character they were going to bring up more often, and for whatever reason, he just fell to being a extra character that people would recognize.
Yeah.
And to be an antagonist in the Attila the Bun episode.
True.
And, maybe he'll come back. I don't know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like that is the closest thing I would call bad filler.
Yeah.
But for the most part, this is filled with filler that does lead you into a whole story. And that is the thing with Tangled, is that we have to review every season that we're going to review with the knowledge of what the show is.
Yeah.
This show is meant to be, you can tell from the very beginning, is meant to be a long story in episode form.
Yeah.
Not everything we're going to review is going to be like that.
True.
And that's the only reason I consider that to be like the worst episode, is because it does not add anything to the whole story.
Okay. I got you. So I think that comes to our general review of season 1 of Tangled, the animated the series.
For some reason you're jumping into this and you have not gone and watched season 1.
Yeah.
I do suggest going back to Before Ever After and working your way through.
Yeah. It's well worth it.
It is worth it, even with everything we've spoiled in this intermission, for lack of a better term. It is worth it. So go look at it.
Yeah. It's a really good series.
So, why don't we jump into our introduction to Season 2?
All right.
So, getting into Season 2, I'm going to read the plot.
Okay.
Or at least a synopsis. Rapunzel and her crew follow the Black Rocks outside Corona, accompanying Rapunzel on her journey as her partner in life, Eugene, her best friend and confidant, Cassandra, her loyal chameleon sidekick, Pascal, no-nonsense and dutiful horse, Maximus, Eugene's childhood best friend, Lance, and the snuggly duckling pub thugs. Together, they will discover new people and places and embark on an incredible new adventure far beyond Corona's walls. This season contains episodes 24 through 47.
Okay.
Just for those who are interested. And that's as far as I'm going to go into this particular article, because I can tell it's going to go slightly into spoiler territory.
Yeah, let's not do that.
It's listing a cast.
Yeah.
So As far as I can tell, anyone who is reprising their roles in season 2 from season 1 is the same cast. So we're just going to stick with that.
Yeah. All right. So with because I've seen most of season 2. I know you haven't.
Right. I've not seen. All I've seen of season 2 is that one clip you showed me, which I think just from as I read through episode titles.
Yeah.
I think that one must be coming like near the end of season 2,
Roughly.
So that will be interesting.
Yeah. So ever since you're going into you're going into the season blind, basically, with only a little information. So what do you think is going to happen?
What do I think is going to happen?
Yeah. What is your speculation?
My speculation is that the episode that you showed me that clip from is the climax of this season. It is the primary thing the season's going to be building towards before that. And that's essentially going to be the queen for a day of this season.
Okay.
That's my thought there. We're going to learn pretty much, I'm assuming to some degree, since we're leaving Corona, we're going to get some world building about the kingdoms immediately surrounding Corona.
Yeah.
That's going to come up. There's going to be some trails that's going to lead us towards whatever that scene, that clip, I keep referencing that clip, whatever that is.
Rapunzel in the dark tree.
Yeah. There's going to be, that's going to lead us there. And that is not really going to be it's going to be a climax. Like I said, I think it's going to be the equivalent of Queen for a Day in season 1 for season 2.
Yeah.
I'm expecting the adventure that I kind of was promised when I was first reading about this series. I'm expecting this to be where the adventure is. The rocks, I'm assuming, are going to continue to point the way to where Rapunzel and crew need to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that when we get to the end of season 2, if the series villain, the main villain, is not revealed, if it's not revealed there, we're going to have a pretty big hint as to the series villain. And I think it's just because of one of the trivia notes in Queen for a Day. I think it's going to be whatever caused the snowstorm in Queen for a Day.
Okay. All right. So
I know I'm not 100%, but I think I'm pretty close.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to love hearing your reactions to the episodes. Because I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm going to give my little non-spoiler-free thoughts on season 2. I've seen a few episodes. It is a very good episode. It's a road trip, and season. It's a road trip season. That's what I meant. Season, and it's very good. You get some twists and turns. You get more world building. You get more hints of the bigger threat out there. You get a lot of story. You get a lot of story of where like character tensions, and I am gonna say one thing that it's not spoilery because I'm not revealing which, who, what does a heel turn. That's all I'm gonna say. Kind of like similar to what happened with Variant. Be like there is a heel turn in this season.
Are you telling me that Pascal's going to betray everybody?
Maybe. Maybe. I don't know.
Who would have thought it was the chameleon
all along?
All along.
It's fishing about that frog. But yeah, there again, I have seen some of season 2. I know what happens in the season 2, and I will keep my lips sealed until the end of season 2. because I love the end of season 2. My favorite song is in season 2, and exactly the same episode we mentioned earlier of Rapunzel and the Dark Tree. The song in that episode I love to death. I absolutely love it. And it's probably my favorite song within the series itself. So I'm trying not to geek out too bad right now.
Okay.
But it's a good season, and things get good. You get a lot of good twists and turns and revelations about things that are so well done. And I can't wait to jump into this. Get into the bandwagon of just diving into these episodes and taking the journey with our characters.
Alrighty then. Well, I think that's going to bring us to the end of this intermission episode of Tangled, or of the animated series of the Cellcast animated series, of our review of Rapunzel or Tangled the series,
Season 1.
Season 1. Well, intermission between season 1 and season 2. Our interseason episode. We'll call it that.
Yeah.
Our interseason episode. So join us next week for the very first episode of season 2, now for called Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure, season 2, episode 1, Beyond the Corona Walls, part 1.
Let's get this party started.
Let's get it started in here.